Guys, you ready? Good evening and welcome to this City of Helena Administrative Meeting, August 29th, 2022, 5 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Welcome and thank you for participating in the City of Helena Special City Commission meeting. We are pleased to be able to provide this alternative meeting format in the city's effort to broaden public participation. Please be patient as we may experience technical difficulties during the meeting. We welcome your public commentary. Please read the following tips and guidelines for the app usage and your participation. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll, please?
City Attorney Doctor. Here. Interim City Manager Burton.
Here.
Commissioner Dean. Here. Commissioner Reed. Here. Commissioner Logan.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here. Okay, we're here today to have our final candidate selection. And we decided at our last meeting that we thought we needed to sleep on it as per our discussion. So we're back. We've had a few days to sleep on it. And I will open up for the discussion on our selection. What I want us to do is each person will have the opportunity to say his or her piece and just tell us where they're at that point. And then we will do a formal vote through the city clerk. What?
At 6, right?
No, now. At 6, we'll be doing another meeting where we will be swearing in the, so we're voting to find the commissioner, then at 6, we do the swearing in.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, if I might. I believe at this meeting, if I misspoke earlier, then I apologize, but I believe at this meeting, we're looking for consensus. The formal vote has been agendized at the 6 p.m. meeting.
Say that again?
So the formal vote on the applicant that's chosen by the body will be at the 6 p.m. meeting, followed by the swearing in. So at this meeting, we just need to come to a consensus for your candidate that you'd like to select.
Okay, thank you. So the floor is open. Any commissioner can start. Okay. Maybe they didn't hear me. I'll say it a little louder. We will
Mr. Mayor,
we'll now start a discussion to try to reach to a consensus, and any commissioner can start.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'll just offer my support of Mr. McGee. I think I spoke at length on Tuesday of my reasons for my support of Mr. McGee. I think those have to do with the moment in time that we find ourselves relative to, as I said the other day, we are now into our 7th city manager or interim city manager, which over the course, well, since 2018. And so over the course of that time, that void or vacuum in, or transition in leadership has caused a fair degree of organizational instability, and I think Mr. Burton has done a great job in getting the direction set, but I think we have a long ways to go. I think we've got some important financial decisions ahead of us and organizational decisions ahead of us that deal with some pretty important essential services that only the city can provide. And so as I look to the 2 candidates who are before us, I'm going to be looking toward experience, and Mr. McGee has that a high level of experience in going to be able to help us with the decisions that we have ahead. And as I said the other day, I think it's clear in his 43 years of service to the community that he has helped lead our community very capably, very compassionately. And, you know, it's for those reasons and many others that I'll be supporting Mr. McGee. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's important to start by saying the applicants for the commission seat were impressive overall. They included young people, small business owners, champions of affordable housing, conservationists, and community volunteers. We interviewed a number of candidates who were interested in putting forward ideas about moving Helena forward and tackling our problems. I'd like to note also that among those candidates were 3 highly qualified women. I think this was a moment for us to make history with the first female majority commission in the city's history. I'm concerned that I did not hear compelling reasons for passing those women over. With the consideration we have before us, I think it's important to note that one candidate does not reflect the will of the voters who cast their votes just 7 months ago. The voters picked candidates who were committed to seeking solutions to the affordable housing crisis, to promoting conservation issues, supporting education and our public services, and to serving in a variety of ways the community that elected them. For this reason, I will be supporting Mr. Shurtleff. I think he better represents the will of the voters when they voted just 7 months ago. I think Helena has an exciting, thriving, and sustainable future ahead. I think we're facing serious issues that include unequal growth, housing unaffordability, increasing climate change, and stressors on our school and healthcare. This is our moment to choose a forward direction, and I think Mr. Shurtleff is the better candidate to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a further statement, but I think I could either do it now or I could do it later. Up to you, Mr. Mayor.
I think this is the time, Commissioner.
Very well. I would like to note with concern that during the public interview process, a candidate referred to a person's sexual orientation as a lifestyle, language that is outdated and not reflective of current inclusive language. We received a great deal of public comment about this, and I was contacted directly about it, and I feel it's important to address this issue directly. As leaders and people who wish to become leaders, we need to ensure that we do our part to educate ourselves about issues in our community, and learning how to use inclusive language rather than harmful language is an important part of that. I want to let our LGBTQIA+ community members know that I see you, and I will always seek to ensure that our city is welcoming, inclusive, and supportive of all of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'll begin the same way we ended the last conversation. Just noting that I truly believe after 2 rounds of interviews, I still believe that Kim Mangold was the most qualified by far. Her interviews were exceptional, far and beyond all the interviews of the other candidates. However, she was not the consensus to move forward in the final 2. And over the last 8 months, we've worked really hard to move the commission in a direction where we can find common ground to move forward. And so we're left with 2 candidates for us to make a decision on. I spent every day of the last week going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. On Friday, I was in a different place than I am this morning. One thing that I would like to echo is that I do think that we had a really great slate of folks who did apply. And I'm grateful that they did so. And so, and I would like to note that I hope that none of these votes are a vote against someone. I think both Andy and Troy, I'm fortunate to know both of them personally. I first met Troy when I was a freshman and sophomore in college, when I was volunteering and then working on Pam Busey's campaign for Attorney General. And Troy was instrumental in that campaign, and then instrumental in Andy Hunthausen's campaign, and really enjoyed getting to know him then and in the years since. Andy, I've known, well, just because our families are friends. And then in his work in the community since then. I will say that I think I started when I found that Kim was not going to be able to move forward. I really tried to figure out what is our best path forward. I think that based on the public comment that I've gotten, interestingly, when I talk to folks face to face, it's about 50-50, one or the other. I think our emails have been more in favor for Mr. Shirtliff, which I find interesting, but public comment nonetheless. I do think that in the interest of finding a middle ground, Mr. Shirtliff will likely be the best path forward. As of now, I think, though, I would like to preface that some of the comments that we have received have been a little discouraging to me, particularly the disparagement of a number of people's characters. As the second youngest person to ever sit on the Helena City Commission following Mr. Elsasser when he was elected in 2007, I don't think we're doing ourselves any favors by making public service a less desirable place to be part of civic life. So I really hope that we can continue to encourage folks to disagree on policy and positions, and really ground ourselves in the fact that we are a very small community where everybody is neighbors and everyone knows each other. Everyone knows each other's grandparents and, kids down the block and aunts and uncles. And we want to be a place that encourages not just young people, but folks of all ages to be involved in public service. And I think that we contribute to the problem when we focus on disparaging one's character rather than really making an argument based in policy and positions that we may take here. So with that, Mayor, I'll pass it off to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We had great candidates as stated here by the commissioners. And I want to stress here that I don't think the process was intentionally trying to exclude female candidates. It happened the way it happened. I don't think any one person was trying to intentionally exclude any female candidates. And at this time, the final two candidates, I want to say that they're capable. Will make a great commissioner. And at this time in the life of this city, I will be selecting Mr. Shirley as the next commissioner, as my choice.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if, are you, I'm sorry, were you through?
yes.
Okay, I did want to briefly make one comment for the record along the lines of what Commissioner Dean shared. Certainly respect the opinion of this body and appreciate it, but I did want to say this because I think it's important. Every so often we read an opinion piece or hear someone speak about the lack of civility and the divisiveness in political and civic dialogue. And observations are made and examples are given to highlight this problem, and the author or the reader scratch their heads and wring their hands and wonder at the end of their speech or story, what, if anything, we can do. And I can honestly say that what has happened in the days since the selection of Mr. Shirtliff and Mr. McGee, in my opinion, has been a cautionary tale of what not to do to solve our problem of divisiveness and incivility. A whisper campaign began on Wednesday and it emerged rather publicly in our email feed today, and its hope was to mischaracterize and tear down the character of Mr. McGee. He's been described with a number of demeaning adjectives by individuals simply because they do not want him to serve as city commissioner for the next year and a piece. And I can tell you from having known Troy for almost 3 decades, is he is none of these things that his detractors tried to paint him as. He has very capably and compassionately served and helped lead our community for more than 4 decades. Now, it's one thing to have an opinion about a matter, but it's another thing, and I would say an awful thing, to defame an individual's character for a political outcome. This behavior is at the very heart of why we are the fractured people that we find ourselves to be. And I'd hope we all as a local community can learn from this as we look to the future. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel compelled to clarify part of my remarks. I think my response to the issue of the remarks made during a public interview for an office in leadership in our city, I don't know if those comments were directed at me, but I will speak to them anyway. I don't believe it is a whisper campaign to be concerned about non-inclusive language. As I said in my statement, I think it is incumbent upon us as leaders of our community to educate ourselves about the importance of language and inclusivity. I think we need to do better in order to serve the people we are representing. I don't believe it is a disparagement of character. I think it is a reaction to comments made in a public interview, and I think it's an important issue for us to be aware of and for me to speak to. I feel strongly about inclusive language. I feel strongly about supporting our LGBTQIA+ community. And I would be remiss if I did not speak up and say that those types of statements can be harmful to members of our community, and that as a body, we need to be mindful of that, and we need to ensure that the language we are using is inclusive rather than harmful. I don't believe it is a character disparagement. I believe it is an important issue to raise, flag, and be mindful of in our capacity as city leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further comments? Okay. At this time, we'll open for anyone from the public wishes to address the commission. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I have no one online wishing to make public comment, and I see no one in chambers.
Okay, we'll wait for 45 seconds. How did I come over 45 seconds? Oh, please come forward.
Yeah, I'd like to just make a couple comments. It seems that the commission has made the decision, but just wanted to offer my perspective. So my name is James Fair. I live on 909 Insulator Avenue. I used to be human resource director for the city of Helena. I did that for about 7 years. And so my relationship with Troy McGee, you know, as an HR director with a department head, you have disagreements sometimes. So occasionally we had disagreements. But as I worked with him over 7 years, I sat in very difficult situations with personnel issues for 7 years. So very challenging personnel issues. I sat on every final interview for hiring of our 911 dispatchers and our police department. And I've never seen anything in him that would not be inclusive, that was not pro diversity in workforce and equal and fair treatment of all employees. And I would say that I took a lot of pride in being part of helping build with Chief Troy McGee, a very diverse and inclusive police department that I believe policed our community in a fair way. So, I mean, I think any question to his character is off base from not just hearing a comment, but from working specifically with him for 7 years in very difficult situations. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just a point of correction, sir, we still haven't done any voting yet. So don't say what you said. Okay. But we appreciate your comments.
Kevin Ham, and because this is a microphone, I figure I have to. I just wanted to let you know that
Address?
Actually, I'm in East Helena. I'm just an interested person because my businesses are here. I don't envy any of you this choice. The only thing I would tell you is that in many cases, you look for what you are going to expand when you add somebody to your viewpoints. And with Troy, you end up with somebody who's had the viewpoint of the city, which we have. With Andy, you end up with somebody who has new and different viewpoints, which expands your ability to do this. They're both good people, but Andy's the better choice. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Kev. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody online?
Mr. Mayor, I have no hands raised online, no written public comment.
Okay. Well, if no further comments from the public and the commission, we'll adjourn this meeting and await the 6 o'clock meeting. At this time, this meeting is adjourned.